Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the least important recording projects ever. And I mean the least important. It's this one. The BIS box, and I would hate to include BIS boxes in anything least important because there's several BIS boxes of most important. I love this label. I love its artists. They're wonderful. This was a mistake. It's the complete Sibelius cycle with Kullervo, featuring Osmo Vänskä and the Minnesota Orchestra. An utter, complete, total waste of time, plastic, resources, and everything else. Why is this one of the least important recording projects ever? Well, I mean, in every possible way. If you're curious about the quality of the performances, which is, I reviewed them all on ClassicsToday.com. You can go and read them. Let's be clear. Let's be perfectly clear. Vänskä made an absolutely beautiful Sibelius cycle in Lahti, Finland. I actually had the great privilege of going to Helsinki and seeing him play all of the symphonies with the Lahti Symphony Orchestra in Helsinki. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Lovely, lovely performances. And his first cycle has individual touches, some daringly slow tempi, for example, the central movement of the Third Symphony, the largo of the Fourth, and wonderful transparency and freshness. It's really a nice Sibelius cycle. Really, really good. And it's in the BIS Sibelius Complete Edition. They took out Järvi's Sibelius cycle, which had some really fun things too, and stuck in Vänskä. So Vänskä gets the Minnesota Orchestra, and he goes to the US of A, and he's conducting the Minnesota Orchestra, and they sound really terrific. They really do. He does an excellent Beethoven symphony cycle, really first class. And then he decides to redo Sibelius. First of all, it hasn't been that long since he last did Sibelius. Second of all, that last Sibelius cycle was marvelous. Everybody liked it, or most people liked most of it. And it included Kullervo, and it's one of the great Kullervos out there. So, I mean, and even, that's not a piece that any conductor needs to do twice in less than a decade, or in about a decade, however long it was. It wasn't long. So Vänskä is operating under dual pressures. He's got this marvelous new orchestra, and he wants to show off what it can do, obviously, and it can do anything. And then he has this desperate need to do something different. Oh, that's where the problems begin, because these remakes do things that are different, but the differences are not good differences. They're mannered, they're random, they're arbitrary, they're ridiculous. They sound, it's narcissistic, navel-gazing interpretation for its own sake, because it had to be different. He always had a slight tendency toward mannerism. Vänskä did. The mannerism was usually the use of the super-duper pianissimo. In any single interpretation, there will be a moment where he drops the orchestra down to the merest whisper that's virtually inaudible, even if you crank the volume up. He does it, for example, in Beethoven's Eroica, at that moment of recapitulation where the horns and the strings are harmonically clashing. And the strings, that whisper of a pianissimo is so quiet, you don't hear the harmonic clash at all. That's what happens when you make things that quiet. Yes, the orchestra can do it. Oh, it's amazing how softly they can play. But you're supposed to hear the damn music, right? He does it in the recapitulation in the finale of Sibelius's Fifth Symphony, where the strings are going. I mean, yes, there are triple pianos marked there. I get it. But it's all proportional, right? And so, yes, that was Vänskä's sort of calling card mannerism. And most conductors have one. They have a twitch and a twiddle or something, right? So this is full of them. All kinds of strange stuff happens in these performances. Anyway, you can get the details by reading my reviews at ClassicsToday.com. My point is that BIS, an independent label, a private label, now I understand somebody else was paying for this. There's no question. Some of the orchestra, some fund, something paid for this. And they won all kinds of like Grammy Awards or whatnot because it's an American orchestra that got, a lot of attention here. It got good PR. The orchestra's PR machine goes to work and, pushing it as the greatest thing ever. But the reality is that there are a zillion fine Sibelius cycles. Vänskä made one of them. He had no need to make another. It was virtually impossible that the other would be better. It could only be different and less interesting. And that's exactly what happened here. One of the least important recording projects ever! Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me.